Another day of problems for the Houston Astros. Every time it feels like something's going good, things go awry. Another loss last night to the Kansas City Royals, who are better this year than last year, even though the record doesn't really indicate that yet either. But a 4-3
excuses
extra inning loss last night to the Kansas City Royals. Christian Javier was good to start the game, and then he kind of unraveled. Everyone's favorite member of the Astros right now, Alex Bregman. Not a lot of great moments.
He did throw a guy out at home.
He did. It was a good play. But it's just not a lot of good. Questionable decisions, really questionable decisions last night for Joe Espada. And so today we're going to play the blame game. Where do you place the most blame right now on the Houston Astros? Is it a player? Is it a manager? Is it the owner? Is it the GM? What is it? 713-780-3776. Who is the blame for the Astros' slow start in 2024?
Okay, man, if we're doing it as a whole, it is difficult because there's a lot of blame to go around.
For sure.
For last night, even with the struggles with runners in scoring position, of which there were many, and Christian Javier seemingly running out of steam, which does have me a bit concerned about him long-term as a starter. And of course, a guy thrust into a bullpen role that never should have been thrust into said bullpen role. But for last night specifically, Joe, because I'm sure there's going to be all sorts of people who have all sorts of blame for all sorts of folks, I'm going to put this at Joe Espada's feet. I felt that pinch hitting John Singleton for Jose Abreu is not an upgrade. And in extra innings, why are you throwing with this guy who does not belong on a major league roster to a player who a couple of years ago had 48 home runs? A guy who in 46 career games against the Astros has 11 homers and 8 doubles. You got a guy on second base, and you got this big fatty boombatty walking up to the plate. Intentionally walk his ass.
Yeah.
Instead, Perez, who is a damn good pro, he's been in the league for a long time. He sees one pitch, he knows exactly what he's going to get. Next pitch, double, game over.
Yeah, it's pinch hitting Singleton for Dupont is just I don't understand. I don't understand why you would make that decision. You know, Victor Caratini for Jose Abreu later in the game, I get that. Because Jose Abreu sucks. There's no other way to put it. He sucks.
He shouldn't be playing.
He's not good.
No matter what Dana Brown says, he should not be playing.
No. And they're flat out stuck with him. And we're going to get to this a little bit later, but Dana Brown back on his nonsense that Jeff Bagwell was pumping to us last year, trying to baseball explain us.
At least give us something original, Dana. Do we have to hear that on the back of Jose Abreu's baseball card, he's been good before? Because you could say that about a lot of athletes getting up there in age. Well, look at the back of his baseball card. But now you have 2 years with the Houston Astros that would be a part of this baseball card if the baseball card was printed on April 10th, 2024.
And it would say .88. .088 batting average. It's not good. So yeah, Joe Espada, definitely a big part of it. Now with that, I'm going to just add on. I'm going to go Dana Brown. Chandler Rome just put out the piece in The Athletic. Talking about just
sharks are circling.
Just talking about the challenge the Astros legitimately face, the amount of innings that they legitimately have to replace right now. You have a 200-inning pitcher pretty consistently in Justin Verlander. Framber Valdez threw 198 pitches last year. You lost 200-plus innings from your bullpen last year. And what did you do to replace it? Well, you brought in Josh Hader, which he got it done last night and got you to extra innings at least. Ryan Presley and Brian Abreu also got it done last night, so that's a little bit of a positive. But they chose to not address the bullpen this offseason. And when you have the unfortunately what happened the day before, where Blair Henley was only able to get one out, and you probably Seth Martinez was down, I would assume, for yesterday's game. That's how you end up with Suero on the mound in the 10th inning when you just don't really have a lot of options. Also, I'm kind of over this Josh Hader nonsense already. Like Josh Hader, when all these public interviews, right as he signed with the Astros and right before, and what he talked about was how he wouldn't pitch 2+ innings and he wouldn't pitch outside the 9th because that's what arbitration was telling him. He was saying, they told me I didn't have enough saves when I met with the Padres and the Brewers because I didn't have enough saves because I was coming in during the 8th inning. So I'm only going to be a 9th inning guy. Dude, you are on a 5-year, $95 million contract. And I know Joe Espada said after the game.
That's a real thing?
Yes, it is.
What?
Like, I know Joe Espada said after the game that there's a long season to go, but when your option is something called a Wander Suero, Josh Hader has to throw more than 11 pitches in a game. It's just, you're getting paid $95 million over 5 years. Throw 25 pitches. Walk a guy, get a double play, strike a guy out, get out of the 10th inning. And now, look, the Bats could have done their job. They failed to do so. You were also given a runner on second base. It's not like the Royals had some kind of extra advantage because they were the home team. You just bottomed out and didn't score in the 10th inning. So there's a ton of blame to go around for last night's game and just for the season as a whole.
I'm not going to put it on the bullpen, and I do think in the case of not addressing the bullpen, Kendall Graveman getting hurt, you had to do something, and that something was bringing in Josh Hader. I think that was one of the guys that you were looking at who was supposed to help you out in that spot. Last night, getting to Suero and him getting demolished on that one pitch by Salvador Perez, I can't get too mad at that.
It's not his fault.
But I can get mad at the continuous struggles with the runners in scoring position. The weird thing with last night, though, is that the Astros had 18 hits, and they scored 3 runs, and they were, 5 for, check that. They had 13 hits. They were 5 for 18 with runners in scoring position. So that's a 277 average. Shouldn't you be getting more than 3 runs? And obviously, Bobby Witt made that great play in the 10th inning, so that's 1 off the board. But still, you had plenty of opportunities, and it's just not happening. And you're also getting hits, and it's not happening. So what the hell's going on there? But, I mean, it starts in the first. Yeah, bases loaded, no outs. And, I mean, the only run that you get is on a fielder's choice. That's it.
Yeah, that's one where we mentioned this a little bit yesterday. The Bats are doing a pretty good job getting on base. They're just not getting them home. I mean, you have the amount of hits you have last night. You should have what we talked about yesterday: 5, 6, 7 runs in this game. Like because you had so many hits, and they can't get guys home. It's that's what's the most baffling about it because when you look at the amount of hits they have, the Astros are up there in Major League Baseball, so they're getting guys on base. They can't get him across the plate for whatever reason. And sometimes it's plays like Bobby Witt Jr. in the 10th, like you mentioned, but other times it's Alex Bregman with a pop-up with bases loaded and not getting guys in. And that's it's hard to explain because it makes no logical sense. Like even if you just look at a box score, you go, how do they score 3 runs in last night's game? From the 8-3-2, flat out bats. Again, they're struggling. The pitchers need to get healthy, but will it matter if the bats stay this inconsistent? It's a good question. I would say no, it won't matter. Not that the Astros aren't going to make the playoffs and not that they're not going to probably win at least one series in the playoffs, if not 2. And everyone's going to look back at these moments and just say, we were talking about like raining cats and dogs and they'll figure it out. I'm still very, very convinced they will. But if this doesn't improve, then what you're probably looking at is what you saw last year in the postseason, that when it mattered most, they just failed to get guys.
Good luck getting there right now. Good luck getting there. You're playing like ass. And I am getting annoyed with Joe Espada or Dana Brown repeating the same stuff over and over to us, whether it's, hey, look at the back of the baseball card for our bad player that we signed to a bad contract, or on top of that, saying that, yeah, we'll rip off 8 to 10 in a row. You said that last week. Can we get some original content for the Spin Zone? Can we get something original out there? If you're saying the same thing over and over to me, I'm going to notice. Lie to me in different ways, okay? If you lie to me in different ways, then you might throw me off the scent. But when you're just saying the same thing over and over again, eventually people are going to tune you out entirely. And all of a sudden, the pitchforks and the torches will be coming for you. Probably first for Joe Espada, who I really have a hard time buying anything that he's saying right now. But then Dana Brown, who I've always had a hard time buying anything that he says. You're 4-8. Do not tell me that you're just going to rip off 8 to 10 wins in a row. You might. Sure. Do it. Before you talk about this, the Royals are up and coming. Blah, blah, blah. Shut up. They're still the effing Royals. They beat you 5 out of 6 times last year. You should be taking them seriously. What's going on here?
Yeah, 281, Dana Brown's a joke. 409, it's Dana and Jim's fault for letting Neris, Stanek, and Maton walk. Dana Brown's going to catch the most heat.
He should, because he's full of it.
Yeah.
He's full of it. Look at the back of the baseball card. Shut up.
Yeah, so this is my interpretation.
You should never talk again.
This is my interpretation of that. I'm stuck with Jose Abreu. I don't want him on this team. And the only thing that I can tell you is that he once was good. And it's what Sean mentioned yesterday. Is Jim Crane really going to admit that in his offseason or 3 months as the general manager of the Houston Astros, he signed 2 players to 2 terrible contracts, and he's going to eat one of them? He's not. Like, that to me is what Dana Brown's telling us, Paul, is I don't know what to do. Like, Dana Brown's talking about timing.
But he's not, though, because he's doing it with this sing-songy BS.
Yeah, like he said timing today was an issue for Jose Abreu because he's old. He can't catch a fastball. Like that's the issue. His bat speed's gone. Like everything that made Jose Abreu a great player once, it's gone. I don't know how it comes back. We saw it last year when he wasn't pulling anything to start the year. And yes, they blamed the back injury that we found about like 6 months into the season, but he couldn't pull anything because he couldn't get on top of a fastball. And that is the same thing here. These guys, when they were throwing 96 at him last night, he just looks nowhere close. He doesn't look lost. This doesn't look like a minor league baseball player who has no business being on the big league roster. This just looks like an old guy who just he can't catch it.
He looked lost when he got pinch hit for. He's in the dugout. This dead stare ahead. And
he looked stunned.
You're probably going to be second guessing yourself now. And I mean, he's dead weight in the lineup, and you don't have any alternatives right now. And I mean, hey, cool. Spencer Arrighetti, he's on the hill today. That's fun.
We'll see how that goes.
But exactly.
I hope it goes better. Hopefully it goes better than it did for Blair. That's all I know. But hey, look, he's a good pitcher. He's had good success in the minors, but it's the minors. You know, going back mentioning Chandler Rome's piece that I brought up, Chandler points out he threw 124 innings last year, I believe it was. So this is not exactly a guy that like is a long-term solution for this season. He's going to get gassed out pretty soon, so they're going to have to be careful about how many innings Arrighetti even pitches long-term. So what do you get out of this guy?
Let's see if he's even
tonight.
Good. Let's see if he's even good. You know, there's been so many Astros prospects that have been hyped up. They get up to the majors, and they are not all that they were hyped up to be. And I just go back to John Singleton, who, by the way, is back on your roster, or some of the other guys that were hyped in the minor league system. Who was that first baseman that played so long ago? I don't even remember his name anymore, but I always hear hype about prospects. I mean, if Spencer Arrighetti can get you 100 innings this year, great.
Yeah.
But I mean,
that'd be great.
But yeah, I'm not even thinking about getting to 100.
I think we have this nonsense. Like, I'm just going to be straight up. Don't be a coward. Don't be a coward.
Who?
This one, I'm not going to give the area code because I want to make sure I specifically point this person out.
Well, you should give the area code. Don't give the last 4 digits.
I'm giving the last 4.
Give both, okay. And then the middle.
Honestly, right now, because like I hate cowards like this.
A coward.
9940.
What's it?
So last year, everything was Dusty's fault, and now everything is Dana's fault. I'm Sensina powdered. Don't be a bitch. If you want to call us racist, and that's what you're trying to ensue, just do it. Because here's the thing. I'm sorry. Like, I can't help the fact that the GM and the last manager are black. We're going to criticize people equally. We've been criticizing Joe Espada on this show.
But we're all over the black guys, dude.
But like Dana,
I think that's a you problem, man.
If Jeff Luna was the GM right now, we'd be crushing him. I don't know, just like James Click got crushed last year. Dana Brown is the general manager of this team, let 200 innings walk away from his bullpen, replaced it with one guy, and he's got an awful first baseman on his roster. His manager is making the decision to use John Singleton instead of Mauricio Dubon for whatever reason.
Just prop another black guy show.
Like, it is, he failed as a general manager this offseason to set his team up for success. You knew going into the year and into the start of the season that you were missing 4 starting pitchers. They chose not to sign someone after they pursued Blake Snell, which means they had money, but it's not a shiny object that Jim Crane's going to love and sell jerseys with. So Jim Crane will not invest in pitchers and go over the luxury tax and players if you're not going to buy their jerseys. It is not all on Dana Brown, but Dana Brown is the general manager of this football team, of this baseball team.
And
Jesus
football
Christ. But like, Dana Brown is at fault for a lot of this stuff.
The other black guy you don't like.
Yeah, come on, Joe.
Nick Casario, the robot.
Is he
I was
black?
thinking D'Amico.
I know.
I was hoping you said basketball so we could rope in Rafael Stone.
I know.
I don't see color. Wait, so Jeff Luno, he wasn't black?
No, he's also a robot.
Is James Click black?
I think he's Mexican, actually.
That's true. Hey, you can't say that.
Wait, I didn't know that.
You can't say the word Mexican, Sean. You can't say that. What are you doing?
I hate stuff like that because it's cowardice, and just because you're blaming someone.
Well, as an ally of the black community, I'm going to say Dana Brown, he is paying the Houston Astros more money than all but 2 teams in baseball. He's signing those checks.
They are.
Or maybe Jim Crane is. I don't know.
Well, and to be fair, I was the one that was brave enough to criticize a white man, Jim Crane.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Good job, Sean.
And call out the Jose Abreu and Rafael Montero contracts.
Yeah.
As like, hey, these guys both stink out loud.
I like this text 832. I'm black, and it's definitely Dana Brown's fault.
I don't know. That sounds like a white guy texting.
Yeah.
I don't believe
That's
that
true.
guy.
We can't validate that.
How do we know?
I could text that in.
Yeah, maybe that was just Sean. Let me double check Sean's phone number.
Joe just texted that in because
No, because I don't have a Houston area code still.
You could have a burner phone.
Yeah, I was gonna make the switch, but then it was, what's that new area code? 469 or whatever it is. That's not it, because if it was 69, I might get it.
I think this one texter's right though.
409.
It's Gary from the barbershop who always talks about the barbershop and what guys talk about at the barbershop, including like quarterbacks with T-Rex arms.
Oh man,
Can we criticize Alex Bregman?
Yeah, he stinks.
No, but I mean, he's Jewish.
Whoa. That's true. Joe came at Alex Bregman earlier in the week.
Knives out.
Good point.
Sean, that's problematic to say.
What? I said he came out with the knives out.
Yeah, you can't talk about knives out for the Jewish community. No, you can't do that. It's been 100 years. Come on. What are you doing?
All right.
He did a sweep of the team.
We need to stop before we're canceled.
Cancel us if you can. That'll be the name.
No, please don't. Everything that was bad that was said in this segment, Joe, just go back. Just go listen. Racist Joe.